we need to cover this because I missed this a couple of days ago. The 25th of November, the coup thereof, is pretty much as important, isn't it, as the Carnation Revolution? And talking of which, we lost Celeste, didn't we? The Carnation Girl passed away in the last couple of weeks. So may God rest her soul and rest in peace, Celeste.
Very sad.
An amazing motif that we appreciate to this day. April 25th, then it got a little bit unruly, didn't it? It got a bit ideological, head in the clouds, and had to be brought back down to earth, Doc.
The problem was that the CIA were agitating to successfully draw the socialists away from the communists.
No way.
The far left. Frank Carlucci, who was the American ambassador, was working very hard with Kissinger to. They were even discussing a military occupation of the Azores if Portugal went full Soviet. There was an attempted right-wing coup in the March of 1975, which was put down. But many of the prime movers behind that were instrumental in suppressing or instrumental on the right-wing side of what happened in the 25th of November. There was the long, hot summer, which saw lots of political assassinations, particularly in the north, of left-wing figures, assassinations some of which the church was implicated in.
What?
And there was a strike called by the one of the main unions in Lisbon. I think it was the 19th of November, because the socialist led government was starting to roll back on some of their pay and conditions. So there was a strike called, a demonstration. The left wing of the army came out in support of the workers. The right wing, there was a huge split in the government, and the result was that the far left effectively lost, but there was some reluctance to cause what many were concerned would lead to a civil war. So, the north of the country was quite conservative. Lisbon was seen as very, very red, as was the Alentejo. As was the Alentejo, mostly due to the agrarian land reform, because a lot of people who had been repressed on in the fields for generations were given the chance to manage their own agricultural co-op. So, depending on your view of history, there are those who see it as a right-wing coup against the left-wing progressive, generally a movement that was generally in this tendency. There are those on the right who say it was a left-wing coup and only the right wing saved democracy. That's why Chega successfully got the CDS-PP government today to commemorate it in the House of Parliament on Monday. And there's a speech by Blocco, one of the Blocco representatives, against it.
With you in a moment, Stu.
There are people who obviously still remember the events of 75 who are very clear about what happened and clear that it was unfortunate that what it led to was lip service to the revolution, which had so much support the year before.
That's my feeling. My sense of it is that it was kind of grounded, wasn't it? By the time we got to the 25th of November, the ideological struggle had to be grounded in some way and make sense. Am I right in thinking the military stepped back in to make that happen, or that would be one way?
Well, the military was split. I mean, the military was split. The Green Berets occupied the Air Force bases in support of the left. The commandos in Lisbon moved against the National Guard, who in Lisbon by then were on the side of the left. So the military was split. Otello, who died recently, and was decorated by presidents of various shades since. Was actually put in prison because he was seen as too close to the grassroots. He was in favour of a people's grassroots democracy that would counterbalance the machinations of political parties. Something I think you would have been very much in favour of.
Yes, of course. So more about it there at the, on the Portugal Club on our GMP VIP site, and forgive me for not covering that, because I think it's a very important day in Portugal's history. And isn't it interesting, just by way of conclusion here, this idea of Russian interference that we hear about? It was American interference back in those days, wasn't it? There's Frank Carlucci right there with an interest, obviously, with the foothold in the Azores, as he would have said. And keeping a close eye on what was going on this part of Europe. In
September and October of '75, in preparation for what everyone thought was an impending right-wing coup, Carlucci toured northern Portugal, talking to various, and getting people to hold the line. And it was felt that the demonstration and strike by the union in Lisbon had given the right wing the excuse they needed in to derail the
I'm guessing he had a very strong handshake and went around saying, "Keep it up, guys. You're doing a great job." Someone else who's doing a great job. Let's bring him onto the screen. See what I did there? Good morning, Stuart. How are you?
Good morning. That was a seamless introduction. I love it.
How do I do it?